Good morning, everyone. I am Baby Lindy Conda, your next reporter. Since my partner already discussed and elaborated the meaning of learning curve, now we are going to apply the learning curve. First, how are we going to apply this learning curve? This theory states that the effort to complete the task should take less time and effort the more the task is done over time. For example, mathematics problem solving. The more attempts you take, the time to complete the task will slowly decrease over time as the learner gains more knowledge through repeated attempts. In this learning curve, they adapted Wright's model, where it focuses on his work, related on his business, but in this matter, we're not going to go deeper information about the business, since in this unit, we'll focus on learners' performance. We have here the learning curve formula, but we are not going to focus on this formula given since we are not going to calculate, but if we are tasked to calculate the average of the learner's performances, then we are just going to substitute the given. We have here the learning curve models and examples. Although the theory states that the more attempts, the time will decrease, but it doesn't work always in any situation. Many factors can impact the results of the performance, resulting in a various learning curve shapes, which means the learning improvement is not constant. The first model is called diminishing returns learning curve. This describes a situation where the task may be easy to learn and progression of learning is initially fast and rapid. For example, in terms of student development in writing a poem, this results means that the student is performing well. But if the progression levels off, it means that the learner already obtained the full proficiency. The next model is called increasing returns learning curve, which is just the opposite of diminishing learning curve in the sense that there are certain learning skills where the rate of increased learning is low in the beginning and then it increases until the maximum potential for learning is reached. This usually occurs when a person is learning a complex or unfamiliar and new task. For example, a grade 1 student is tasked to identify different kinds of planets which is unfamiliar to them that would lead to slow progress because it takes time to make them recognize the different kinds of planets. But if they were able to recognize these planets, then it will increase until the maximum potential for learning is reached. Then the third model is called sigmoid or the S curve. It is a combination of both the diminishing and increasing curve. If a person is totally new to the skill that he is learning, then all learning will probably follow an S-shaped curve. The lower portion of the curve represents the initial stages of acquiring a skill with a very slow learning initially, followed by successively greater returns eventually reach the absolute limit. And we have here the last model, which is the complex learning curve. This suggests that the task being measured is difficult to learn, and even after learning, it takes a certain amount of practice before they can really perform the task efficiently. We have here the 5 stages in the complex learning is explained below. The first one is slow learning. The initial stage in the above curve is that of slow learning because of the newest and difficulty of skills. And the next one is increasing returns. The learner gains confidence in this stage. He might acquire the required skill. This results in the third stage, the plateau. When the learner feels that he has acquired the required skills, he reaches a comparative plateau where no further gains in skills are acquired or he has no motivation to further develop the required skill. And the fourth one is the peak proficiency. The development and application of new ideas may further improve upon his skill until he reaches the peak in efficiency, beyond which the skill becomes a kind of habit, an integral part of operation. And the last stage is the overlearning, When the skill becomes a habit, the period is termed as overlearning because the learning becomes automatic and unforgettable. And we have here a steep learning curve. The concept of this steep learning curve is more of a metaphor that most likely represents a common perception that going up a steep hill is slower than going up a long, shallow incline. In real life's application of the term, the learning curve model, a steep curve on learning curve actually implies that there is an initial period of fast learning, not slow learning. Here's the reason. In a learning curve, the rate of progression is measured against time. If the curve, as in the blue graph, it would show that the learner is making rapid progression over a short period of time. This means that the learner is mastering the skill or task quickly, and the red graph displays what a learning curve would look like if the learner has having a slow and difficult time to learn the skill or task. The curve would be actually appear to be shallow and long. This is because the learning requires more practice or attempts before a performance begins to improve. The advantage of this learning curve, you will be able to track the learning progress and predict the learner's performances. And that's all for our report about the learning curve in psychology of learning. Thank you and God bless.